Welcome into my PyGame tutorial on how to make a space dodger. We're going to look at how to make this Starfield, how to get a player to move up and down with limits on how far they can go up, down, left, or right, and how to randomly put obstacles in um, based on some scalable logic to where as you hit certain levels, it'll introduce other types of obstacles. And then we'll also look at collision, how to make a kind of closing screen that wipes the screen, high score, low score, and even persistence, that when we leave this game and come back, it will have a high score. It will remember the last high score. And what we're going to do is we're specifically today going to look at how to make this star field by generating a certain number of stars randomly in different places, moving at different speeds so you get a parallax effect that makes it look like you have some depth of field. To make this easier on you and I'm just going to walk you through the code already written, because if you had to wait for as slow as I type, this would be a way too long tutorial. So this is going to assume that you have Python, that you have any semblance of knowledge of Python, but you have Python installed. We'd also need to have PyGame installed. If you don't have it installed, just type in your console pip install PyGame, and it'll go and pull the files you need. In my case, it's going to tell me I already have it installed. And so with that said, let's take a look at what we're going to do here. You need to have a folder somewhere. Mine is just in my downloads folder in a folder called tutorial, because as this project grows, we're going to have images and other things, and they all need to be in the same folder. And we're going to import 3 items. You need to import PyGame because that's going to be the game engine for this game. We need to import randoms so we can do things like generate the stars in random places. We also need to import OS because we're going to interact with the operating system. And so we're going to start off, there's a command here, os.child directory. We're going to pass into it os path dir name, and we're going to pass into that os path relative path, and we're going to pass into that underscore underscore file underscore underscore. Make sure your ending parentheses match up with your starting parentheses. There'll be 3 on the end, and there should be 3 open parentheses. Basically, all this does is it tells this application to look for the images and other things in the same directory that the game was launched from. So to build the star field, we're going to create a class of stars. We're going to have a definition that initializes it. We're going to have a definition that generates the stars. We're going to have a definition that moves the stars from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen. And when they pass off the bottom of the screen, it's going to regenerate the stars at the top of the screen. And then we're going to draw the stars literally on the screen. So let's do class stars colon. And your IDE should automatically do this, but all your definitions, your functions should be tabbed over. So let's look at this first definition. We're going to do definition underscore underscore init underscore underscore. That gets passed into itself. We're going to pass in a variable for screen width, a variable for screen height, a variable for the number of stars, a variable for the minimum speed we want the stars to move, and a variable for the maximum speed. And then we basically just say self screen width equals screen width, self screen height equals screen height, self number stars equals number stars, self minimum speed equals minimum speed, self max speed equals max speed, and then we're going to do self stars. And it's going to call this method down here that generates an array, a list, a collection of stars. And basically what you're doing here is you're saying the object that's created will you, or the object's screen width equals the screen width we pass in, etc. down the lines. Okay, so once we have this initialization method that we're going to call when we first create the star field, then we're going to generate the stars that go in that star field. And so again, make sure this is lined up with the other definition. Generate stars. We're going to pass in self. And then we're going to create a collection of stars. So stars equal brace, brace. And then for underscore in range, this basically says, for everything that's in this range of stars, in my case, I'm going to pass in 100. So 100 times, it's going to do this. And so we're going to have an X variable that controls your left and right. We're going to have a Y variable that controls your up and down. And basically in both these, we're going to do a random int. Both are going to have 0 as the minimum number it can be. So the X, the minimum number of the random int, will be as far left as you can go. The random int for Y will be 0, which will be as far up as you can go. And then we're going to do screen width. And screen height is the maximum. So it's only going to go as far right or as far down as the screen that exists. We're going to also have a random speed, and this we're going to do random uniform, and it's going to choose between numbers between the minimum speed and the maximum speed. And then it's going to add into the stars collection a star with the dictionary variable of X, Y, and speed. So every star, all 100 stars in this collection will have an X location, a Y location, and a speed. And then we're going to do return stars, which basically returns the stars into this initialized method. Okay, now we've got to move the stars. And so again, line this up, make sure it's tabbed correctly, even with your other definitions, functions, methods. And it's going to be definition move stars, again, pass into itself, colon, tab over. And for each star that is in self.star, so every star that's in that collection, and in my case, there will always be 100 stars on the screen. It's going to say star index 1 plus equals star index 2. And so if we look back up here, the way the indexes of the dictionary go is star 0 will be the X location, star 1 will be the Y location, and star 2 will be the speed. So basically this is saying for each star, whatever the Y location is, add the star's speed to the Y location. So if the star is at Y1 and the speed is 2, this time through, it will be at 3, and so on. It's going to do that for every star. And then we're going to tab over, and over from our 4, we're going to have an if statement. It says if the star's Y location is greater than the screen height, that means it's gone off the bottom of the screen, we're going to move the star back to the top. So we're going to update star index 1 to 0, which means it's going back to the top of the screen. Star index 0, which is the X coordination, is again going to pass a random int somewhere between the leftmost part of the screen and the rightmost part of the screen. And then we're going to do random uniform, and we're going to do the minimum speed, maximum speed, and set star index 2 to that. And then we just need to draw the star. And so we're going to pass in screen when we call this, and for every star, when we draw it, we're going to draw it as a circle. We're going to draw it on the screen. Inside these parentheses is 255, 255, 255, which is the color white, comma, and then we're going to pass in the coordinates for the star, the X, Y coordinates. Star 0 is X, star 1 is Y, and then comma and 2. That's how big the star is going to be. For me, all my stars are the same size. For you, you could do a random for star size as well. So now that we've created all these methods, we are going to initialize PyGame with pygame.init. I am going to grab my screen info from the game. From the display of the computer that we're on, because I want to make sure that if you play it like on a laptop, that my default size of 600 by 900 doesn't go off the screen. And so I'm going to say the display width is screeninfo.currentWidth. Display height is screeninfo.currentHeight. And then down here, I'm going to do my screen width is 600. But like I said, if I hard code my screen height as 900, then it might be too big for a smaller laptop. So basically here I'm going to use round, because in a lot of my code I've got to have an int and not a float. So I'm going to do round, and then I want to do display height times 0.80, which means I want my game height to be 80% of the height of the computer that it's being played on. All right. Now I'm going to initialize a screen, and that's just, I'm going to create a screen object, PyGame display, and then I'm going to set it, I'm going to pass in the screen height by screen width, that resolution. Then I'm going to create my star field, and I'm going to do that by calling stars. I'm going to pass my screen width, my screen height. I'm going to tell it I want 100 stars, and I'm going to tell it that my minimum speed is 1, my maximum speed is 4. Then I jump into my game loop, and here I'm going to create a variable called running true that basically is going to tell the while loop, as long as the game is running, run. And if we ever change running to false, we want to exit out of the game. And so inside this while loop, tab over, and we need to first look at anything that we would be getting from an event from the PyGame. And in this case, the only thing we're going to be looking for from PyGame is if somebody hits the X on the window and closes it out. So for each event in PyGame event get, parentheses, colon, we're going to tab over, if event.type equal, PyGame.quit, all caps, colon, then we're going to change running to false. And so that basically says if I hit that X, then it's going to close out the window. Or I'm sorry, it's going to switch to false, which down here will quit the game. And so I'm going to call Starfield's move stars. And so that's going to find all the new XY coordinates for my stars. I'm going to do screen.fill, and I'm going to pass into it the color black, 0, 0, 0. And if you'll notice, the 0, 0, 0 is in its own parentheses because it is passing as one color. So it is going to be screen.fill, open, open, 0, 0, 0, close, close. And then we're going to draw the star field on the screen. So starfield.draw stars on the screen. PyGame, we're going to call PyGame display.flip. And then we're going to set the frames per second, pygame.time.clock .tick, and we're going to pass in 60 frames per second. And so we're going to watch, and what we get is the star field moving various speeds, get that parallax effect. Looks like we're moving up, and we get that depth of field. Now, why this guy right here is important, let me comment it out. Had we not set the frames per second on the game would run as fast as your computer would run, and you see it's just flying by on the stars. So it's very important that we set the frames per second. I appreciate you listening to this on how to build a Starfield. I hope you come back for the next lesson where we're going to put a spaceship on the screen, move it up, down, left, and right. Please like and subscribe, and thank you.